Now today in the shop, we hit an exceptional day. This was a day, we have not had a better day in 2 or 3 months for painting. There was pretty much predicted that it would go to 40 by lunchtime. It was 40 degrees on my thermometer anyway by 10 o'clock. So I decided to really take the bull by the horns here. I had already prepped up the wheel. The wheel was ready to go, and this is why I always prep things up, because you never know when one of these days is coming. And even though it was all snowy and drippy and drooly out in the yard, I managed to get the clear on the wheel. I got 2 full wet coats. I got it put away, and I thought, wow, I still have time to work on Joe's fairing. Now, there was a little bit of a problem, is I didn't have the clear for his fairing. So what I did, I painted a paint can just so I could test compatibility, and everything looked fine. And so what I did, I sprayed his fairing red. I got the red. I had already made up a test batch. I had already gotten a gun set up. So but all that prep paid off today, because while the weather was like it is, I wasn't down in the cellar prepping parts up. And that's a big thing when we have 2 projects going at the same time here. And this really paid big dividends, because at the end of the day, by the end of the day, both of these parts were sitting out in the garage, and I was like as high as a kite thinking, wow, the wheel came out spectacular. Karen came out, made sure the color matched to the decal. She was thrilled about it. I was thrilled how the day went, and I had to call Joe and tell him how great the paint matched. Well, today in the mail, it looks like we got another part of our project, our wheel project. All the bolts came, all the hardware, the stainless steel hardware. Very happy for that. Thrilled to death, in fact. Here's the really good part of today. The part today is, it's supposed to warm up in the next couple hours to above freezing. And maybe we're going to have one of the days, and they predict no chance of rain or snow, 0 for the whole day. So my plan was to do the final prep, tack rag the wheel down, and be ready to go if the temperature comes up above freezing. But we have been extremely patient waiting for this day. I have been tempted to try to get the clear on, and I know it pays to wait for a day. I don't think there's even any wind blowing out there. Now all this is doing is getting a little bit of overspray off of here, but even this little detail, I want to have this right. I want this first coat of clear, and I'm going to try to get 2 coats of clear on, roughly a half hour, 45 minutes apart. And I'm really hoping this is going to play out. I hope the weather is going to play out. What I'm really worried about, this time of year, I'm not worried about getting the work done. I'm just worried about the weather. Now everything we've done to this wheel is predicated on getting the parts of it that were cast to be smooth, so it had the look of a machined wheel. We're going to see how that plays out before the day's over. And we are absolutely at the end of this clear. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I hope I have enough to do this wheel. I think I've just enough. Now unfortunately, I'm right at the end of the gallon of 5-star, and I have just enough to do this job. In fact, this is going to be the end of it, but Joe is getting some new clear. We're going to try to use the new clear on Joe's job. This is going to be the base clear for my wheel. One useful tip, never stir the clear with a piece of wood. The wood absorbs some of the chemicals in the hardener. On some brands, it's something you really want to avoid like the plague. Right, it looks like the conditions here are pretty good, except it's still a little cold. I wish it was a little bit warmer. So this is in fast forward now, and I'm going to do all of the spraying in fast forward, but I think you can get the idea. Back and forth, rotating the wheel in both directions, trying to not miss any spot at all, and get one side of the wheel done totally before I flip it over and do the other side. Don't overdo it and get any runs if possible. It's just something you have to just be patient. The first side looks like it's going to be just fine. Hey, we're taking advantage of, there's really no wind at all here. Taking advantage of a really good day to do this. I'm just looking for any spot I might have missed. I don't think there's any. I don't see any spot that's dry. No, so far so good. Okay, so now I got to turn this around and do the other side. Well, we haven't had a day this nice in a while. And as this day played out, I realized I had stumbled upon an exceptional day to paint. Not a good day, an exceptional. You only get a few days a year where it's this good for painting. And this was one of them. Now you can see how the orange popped up. That's a really good match to the Suzuki lettering. You can see how the parts of it that we worked on, that we're trying to make it look like it's a machined wheel, not a cast wheel. That is just really, really good. I'm really happy the way that worked out. Now, we got to put this aside to dry for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Come out and give it a second coat. And every 5 minutes it was warming up, had just a little bit of breeze, nothing I couldn't deal with reasonably. I don't think there was any dust in the paint at all today. Almost zero dust blowing because of the snow. Okay, the second coat is on. I think that's all we're going to need on this is 2 coats. And that'll be our base, the base clear. So if you could see that finish in real life. And that's what's going to make that, when that project's on the bike, I think it's going to really look nice. Now, I'm not sure you can see the quality of the paint here. Where the castings used to be, this used to be all rough up in here. And I'm not sure you can see that, but the trick now is not to get impatient. This has to be, I have to babysit it for about a half an hour. This has got the full 2 coats on. And then I'll put it in the garage. Now, I may have time. I'm going to see how the weather holds out. I may get the red on Joe's fairing, but I don't have the clear. He has a brand new gallon of clear coming, and I know there's not enough here to do a fairing. So we are going to see how give this a half an hour. I think we'll still have time to get Joe's fairing at least painted red. Get one step on that done, but the quality of this is just outstanding. And it's the quality I'm always after. That's always what I'm looking for. When that's on the GS, oh, I'm going to be looking at that for a long time. And that stripe popped right up. It's just hard to imagine how well this day worked out. I am so glad I waited patiently. Well worth it. And I got to keep that wheel spinning now for about 30 minutes and then get it into the garage. What an extremely good day. And it won't be long till he takes his place in our collection of custom wheels on whatever amount of time we've spent on these bikes. I don't know, the better part of my life. Hard to believe how much time I've spent. Anyway, I do love custom wheels. So now I'm just checking this out in the light that's available in the garage. And sometimes in the beginning of a job like this, when it's a casting and everything's all rough and you wonder if all that time you spend is going to be worth it. Well, when you get to this part, I think you know the answer to that. Well, that's spectacular. That light is going to be sparkling and flashing every time we pull away from a stoplight. That's going to be really beautiful. And that orange, Karen agrees it's a perfect match. Thank you, Karen. Well, because we have this spectacular day, I've never seen a nicer day in the middle of the winter in my whole life. I'm going to tack rag this down. I don't have the clear yet. Joe's going to bring the clear, I think tomorrow, maybe next week. But I'll be able to show him the red. Even I don't want to put my clear on top of this because we'll contaminate it. And the clear he's getting and the color right paint, I want that to be a perfect match. But it won't make any difference. I can get the red sprayed. I'll be one step ahead on that. And we're hoping, hope of hopes is it'll be an absolute perfect match. Now, the color right paint is really a difficult color to spray because it's a translucent paint like a candy apple, which is traditional of all Ducatis. It's made to go over pink primer. We don't have pink primer, but because it came out of a spray can, if I mixed my own primer, I would have made red pink primer. But anyway, that's what the factory does, and it saves them paint. This was really a lot of work getting this painted because it needed to be gone over and over again. Okay, that's the first coat. Again, we're going to wait 20 minutes. We'll go have a cup of coffee. I put that on dry so there'd be no chance, or very little chance, I'd have a problem with a run. I don't want to have a run in that if I can possibly help it. Now it'll be very important on the second coat to look for any bare spots, because we're going to get 3 coats of that red on. And that red is not a great covering paint. It's very, very light on pigment. Now I put the second coat on, trying to avoid as much zebra striping as possible. This paint was so thin. And to get it on, I tried to go in an anti-zebra pattern. And it looks like it's going to need a third coat, I think, but this was a difficult part to paint. Even moving the part around, it was just very difficult to get that red to blend in and not zebra stripe. Okay, what happened, we used up all our test paint. We got to go mix another batch. I will try to get 2 coats of red on this. That'll give Joe a really good idea of what if that match is going to be acceptable. Karen thinks it is. She's already seen it. And we'll try to get 2 coats on that and get it in the garage before dark. Give that about 20-30 minutes to dry between coats. So another frozen in time job goes down. Look at, as I say it, the clouds are rolling in. Oh, boy, did we beat the system today. Oh, I wish I could buy a lottery ticket, but I don't gamble. So we now have to get the decals to clear from Joe. What I wanted to do though is put one coat of clear over this, just to seal us in, so when we put the decals on we don't have an issue that we have to deal with. I think that's going to just be perfect. It really worked out good. So this is drying up, and I'm just hoping the only thing left that can be a problem is if we have a problem with the decals, or I need to do a compatibility test on the clear that Joe is buying, because we've never used Colorite with that brand of clear. But I think that should be a relatively simple thing. So what I'll do is I'll paint a part of a paint can so I can do a compatibility test. Because a lot of times, and you never know when compatibility is an issue. As Mark Morgan found out, he bought some paint from a friend, and they said there was going to be no compatibility issues, and we had compatibility issues. So, but that's all part of body work, and we'll figure that part out. I think that went out. I think this was just a spectacular day. And I just couldn't be happier the way that wheel worked. The way that just I can't believe how nice that came out. And like a lot of jobs that I've done in the past, and well, a lot of jobs, all of them pretty much, they all start out being a messy, dirty, filthy job with sanding, dust, and smells and everything. And when you're done, boy, you got something special. And I know people those of you with little faith, I think that's going to be a beautiful addition to our Evil Twin project. When we Evil Twin this out and maybe even put the blue bodywork on later, we are going to have an Evil Twin. So I hope you did enjoy the video, and I hope you, are inspired to maybe keep some of these older bikes alive and out on the road, and maybe a little bit better than the manufacturer made them. I don't know, we had a completely unexpected day. In the middle of rain and snow and wind blowing, we had a day of sun, no wind, and 40 degrees. I don't know how to explain it. I wish I could make this happen. I'd be a wealthy person. Anyway, our beloved GS now has an additional part for his, when we Evil Twin him out in the future. And this is the important part. I never plan on selling any of these bikes. So for me to constantly be changing them, I always have the feeling I have new bikes. When I don't, I have the same old bikes all the time. But I know they're all reliable, and I know they all have decent engines and decent transmissions and whatever. And they have not been abused like some people that buy a new bike and a year later it's garbage. Anyway, this is going to really be a beautiful wheel. Now, when this dries up, I'm going to let it sit. It's going to sit out in the garage where basically tonight it'll be way below freezing. That'll let everything cure very slowly. We'll let it sit out here 24 hours, the same thing with Joe's paint. Now, I'm a little concerned, a slight concern about it, is that Joe's paint, that red paint, dried very shiny. And usually, these paints that are made, modern paints, they don't have an ability to to dry shiny. They dry like a little about a 2,000 grit sandpaper, so that the clear binds. So I hope the clear is not going to be a problem with that, and I hope the clear is going to bind. But again, we have, no matter what, we have to work our way around it. There's no middle ground on this anyway. You can't slit your throat halfway. That's not a compromise. Anyway, love these wheels. And I want to thank the healthcare workers. My God, are we lucky. I know probably people think I just repeat this like a parrot, and I do, because I really appreciate it. I really am sincere. You guys have really made my family get through this. It's almost a year we've been sequestered, and nobody's gotten sick so far. Thank you guys, one and all. So, I hope you did enjoy the video, and as I always say at the end of every video, thank you so much for watching. And we do try to post up something every day or so. On a day like today, a spectacular day. This was a day I got more done than I ever thought I would. And having that stuff out in the garage drying right now, I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. And while I'm sleeping, what I'm going to be dreaming about, the summer that's coming up. A summer I hope we're going to be able to share with our friends. We'll be done with this COVID, I hope, very soon. And again, thank you guys so much. The healthcare workers deserve so much credit. I look back at my album of all the pictures and all the memories I have of my many years of being involved with motorcycles, the many great friends I've been able to make, interesting acquaintances, great friends. Everybody seems to have a passion for old motorcycles or new motorcycles or motorcycles. I guess it doesn't matter at all. If they have two wheels, I guess that's what makes it special. Anyway, we do enjoy the gatherings like the market. I do enjoy riding up in the fall with the leaves falling. There's just no part of it I don't like. I love seeing all the exotic bikes, every one of them. And all the two-strokes. Luciano, then all the adventures Luciano and I have had with these two-strokes. Even when they don't break. Even when they run the whole day without breaking, it's fun. And all our restored bikes that we restored from dumpster bikes. Oh my God, every one of these pictures reminds me of an adventure we've had. And my GS, had it since the day it was new. The FZR, it's been 3 bikes in one so far, and a great track bike. And Mark Morgan, all the bikes we did for Mark. Oh my God. And Luciano's bikes, what an eclectic collection he has. And he adds to it regularly. Joe Roselli's bikes. I did get to ride that Brutali. It was a very, very cool bike. Vlad's bike collection. Oh, and just all the meetups up at Perry's. There's just no part of it that I don't enjoy. I just immerse myself in the world of motorcycling, and every one of these bikes has special memories for me. I appreciate all the friendships I've been able to make all over the world, and most of all, I enjoy sharing it on YouTube. And thanks, guys, so much for watching.